Hello and welcome to class. This is week 5, and today we're going to look at planning for a successful Intro to Basic reformer class. And what I've done today is I've tried to minimize the amount of spring tension changes. So we're going to start with the spring that's appropriate for our leg and footwork doubles and singles. And we're going to try and keep that the same for our warm-up category, our leg and footwork category. And we're going to reduce the spring tension as we work down through our abdominals, leg strap work and spinal articulation and hip flexion 1 and 2. And then we're going to reduce it again as we skip down to our arm work category, lateral flexion and back extension and cool down. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of upping and downing and spring tension changes. But if that doesn't feel good in your body today, then please adapt it so that it feels comfortable and appropriate for you. Okay, so let's come over to the reformers, and can we set this up ready for your leg and footwork? So your foot bar is up. I've gone with my 2 red and a blue because I want that heavy enough for my doubles, but also appropriate for my singles. And the headrest is flat, and I've got the straps ready to grab when I need them for my hands and my feet. All right, we're going to start standing. So printing our start position or printing our standing position and really promoting that axial length through our body and skeleton. So from the foot grounding into the floor, lifting and being active through the medial arch, feeling how that connects up through the inner thighs. Can we already start to pattern our corkscrew, external rotation, just at the top of the femur there, so that we can stand actively into our glutes, hamstrings, focusing on the neutral zones through the pelvis and the spine, making sure that the head is placed over the ribs, is placed over the pelvis. We're nice and relaxed through our shoulder girdle, neck, and we're reaching tall through the crown of the head. We're starting our diaphragmatical breath practice, breathing in, feeling the full expansion through the rib cage. And breathing out, feel the relaxation and recoil, and focus on getting taller through your spine. Breathing in, full expansion. Sides, back, front, rib cage expand. And exhale, full exhalation, feeling the activation and the tightening. On our next exhale, we're going to add a little arm arc or arm circle. So breathing in to prepare the body. Using the exhale breath, feel the connection around the torso trunk, and we're going to reach both arms up overhead. Using the inhale breath, we're going to continue the circle of the arms down and around. So as we exhale, we're floating both arms up. We're going full shoulder flexion. We're feeling how the breath stabilizes the trunk as we mobilize the shoulder joint. And the inhale, we're thinking scapular plane, keeping the arms in the peripheral vision as we circle them round. Exhalation stabilizes the trunk. Inhale, grow taller through that axial spine, lengthening out through the crown of your head. Exhale, mobilize the shoulder joint. And inhale, imagine you're pressing those arms, resisting them as they come down. Exhale to lift. And inhale, circling around. Good, let's take standing roll down. So breathing in, feeling that lift up nice and tall through the spine. Nodding the chin, softening the chest, and rolling forward into our first roll down. Mobilizing the spinal joints, mobilizing the hip joint, hamstring. Breathing in at the bottom. Using your exhale breath to feel the grounding of the feet, the activation up through the abdominal wall as you bring the pelvis, rib cage, shoulders, neck, and head back to your upright. Use your inhale breath to find length up through the crown of your head, and using your exhale breath to nod the chin, soften the chest, and roll forward. Hinging at the hips and coming down towards the floor. Breathing in at the bottom and using that exhale breath, bring the pelvis back up to neutral on the femurs. Restack the spine tall. Relax, but broad through your shoulders, collarbones, head and neck. Place nice and tall. Last one. Using your exhale breath, nod the chin, soften the chest and roll down. Keep your eyes looking in on your navel as you take that movement all the way forward into flexion. Breath in and breath out. Feel the sitting bones pulling down towards the heels. Restack the spine tall on top of the pelvis. Okay, good. Let's bring ourselves down onto the reformers, getting ready for some pelvic curls. Let's come into some imprinting before we come into the pelvic curls. So lying down into our supine position, but we bring our heels up onto the foot bar, parallel in hip width, and the arms nice and long down beside us on the carriage. Taking a moment to find your neutral zones in this new start position, and feeling that connection from the foot into the leg hip, into that position of neutral pelvis, neutral spine, and how the long straight arms connect into the shoulder girdle, feeling length through the neck and the head. So using an inhale breath into the sides and the back of the rib cage and the lungs, and using that exhalation to initiate the imprint. Keeping the feet nice and light on the foot bar as the abdominals draw in and the lower back flattens. Using your inhale breath to roll the pelvis back out to your neutral zone. As you exhale, breathe out. Feel the softening of the sternum, the deepening of the abdominal wall, and roll the pubic bone towards the sternum. Use your inhale breath to fill the lungs and roll the pubic bone right back away. Exhalation, full breath out. Draw the abdominals in. Roll the pubic bone towards the sternum. Feel the imprint of the lumbar spine. Feel the mobility around the hip joint. Using your inhale breath, roll back out. Getting the tailbone and the sitting bones to search for the carriage. One more time, exhale to imprint. And inhale to roll back out to your neutral. From here, let's roll up into our first pelvic curl. So we're going to go through our imprint. How much deeper can you get that posterior tilt before you can shift the load into the heels and roll up into our bridge position? Keep the pubic bone the highest point of the pelvis as you press up into your bridge, arms actively pressing down into the carriage. Using your exhalation to soften the sternum and roll the spine down. As your spine is coming back down onto the carriage, feel how the sitting bones are reaching long away from you towards your heels. Breathing in at the bottom. Using your exhale breath, go through your imprint. Pick it up through the legs, pressing down through those heels. Feel the activation through the hip extensors as you bridge up higher into that movement pattern. Breath in. Using the exhale breath, soften the sternum. Work slowly, trying to get the articulation through the back of the rib cage, down through the lumbar spine, back into your imprint, and all the way back out to your neutral. Good, we've got one more practice. Using the exhale, imprint. Deepen the imprint. Shift the load into the legs. Stretching both kneecaps right forward over the toes to open up the hip joint. Breathing in. Using the exhale breath, soften the chest. Rolling the spine all the way back down. And once we've arrived all the way back home, let's float both legs up into our tabletop, getting ready for chest lift. Connect the feet. Keep the knees just apart at your hip distance. I'm going to keep the arms nice and long down beside us. Using the exhale breath, nod the chin, soften the chest and curl. Let's use a 2-breath cycle, so we're going to hold it here. Draw the breath into the back side of the rib cage as you inhale, and exhale, lowering the spine, arms and head back down to the carriage. Let's repeat that again, nice and slow. The exhale breath nods the chin, softens the sternum, and curls us up into our chest lift. Feel the energy reaching forward through the arms. Breathe in, breath into the back of the rib cage. Imagine that inhale breath is picking you up higher into your chest lift pattern. And then the exhale breath is controlling the spine back down again. One more, breathing in. Exhale, nod the chin, soften the chest, and curl. Stabilizing through the pelvis, mobilizing through the thoracic. Inhale, deepen the chest lift, and exhale, lower back down. Excellent work. Let's come into hula. Can we interlace the fingers? Just negotiate around your shoulder rests as required. And then from here, we're going to use our exhale breath to curl straight forward into our chest lift, establishing that nice high chest curl position by flexing through the spine. Feeling like the head is relaxed into the feedback of the hands right now. Tailbone is heavy. Using the next exhale breath, let's come into our rotation pattern. Feeling like the armpit is lifting and twisting towards the opposite knee. The inhale returns us back to the center. Exhale, moving in the opposite pattern, and then inhale to draw back. Let's stay lifted, challenging our strength and endurance as we twist into our hula 3. Exhale across. And inhale back in the center. Try not to lose height of your chest curl. Rotate, lift. Try and maintain it as you come back to the center. Exhale to rotate. We've got one more on each side. Really feeling the grounding of the legs into the hips, into the pelvis. Excellent work. Let's lower down. Let's work on the endurance of our legs. So keeping the legs in our tabletop position, can we grab our hands onto the shoulder rests, pulling the elbows out wide and into our spine twist supine. So using our inhale breath, roll the pelvis onto one side. Using our exhale breath, draw back. Feel the softening of the sternum, initiating that pull so the ribs, the waist, and the pelvis come back in that order. The pelvis is going to lift and initiate the rotation, breathing in. Using your exhale breath, we're drawing back, ribs, waist, pelvis. Can we feel the stability and strength required through those legs? Keeping the feet connected, keeping the legs still within the hip joint. Breathing in, mobilizing the lumbar spine in rotation. And exhale, drawing back, ribs, waist, pelvis. Good. Breathing in. Keeping both shoulder blades on the carriage as your anchor point. And exhale, drawing back. Let's go one more to each side. Inhale, lift the pelvis. Maintain a strong connection through the inner thighs from the feet. Exhale, drawing back. Feel the softening of the sternum as you return back to the center. Final one, inhale, rolling over. And exhale, drawing back. Great, let's come into our double leg and footwork. Can we start with the heels on parallel and hip width? So please set the heels just below that foot bar. Ankles in that gentle dorsiflexion. Bringing the arms down beside you and taking a moment just to print that neutral, length out through the crown of the head, heaviness down through the tailbone, corkscrew spiral of the leg at the hip socket. Initiating from the hamstrings, let's use our exhale breath to press the legs out to straight. Use the inhale to resist the return of the carriage. Exhale and we press to lengthen. Inhale and resist active return back in. Let's practice 4 more. The movement never stops. We keep growing as we reach full extension through the knee, and we resist as we come all the way back in again. Last 2. And pull it home. From here, let's come down into our parallel toes, ball of the foot on, taking a moment to think of the change of foot position, the feedback through the foot now. Keeping that heel lifted, active through the arch, and using the exhale breath to press out to a straight leg. Using an inhale breath to resist the carriage back in again. The heel is staying still in space as we press out, mobilizing through the ankle, knee, and hip, and resist as we come back in again. Every time the carriage returns in, think about sitting back through the hips or sitting back into a chair as you come into that squat position. Let's go 4 more. We press out and resist back in. Every time you straighten, feel the kneecaps lifting and the quadriceps activated, and slide back in. And really feel that initiation from the hamstring again as you press. Good work. Let's come into our toes V. So we've moved into our external rotated position. Feel the connection strong through the heels, through into the adductors. And that external rotation now starts from that spiral at the top of the hip. Pressing out as we exhale, drawing back in and resist as we inhale. Pushing away. Squeeze through the inner thighs, maintain the rotation at the thigh hip. Keep thinking whole body. Crown of the head reaching away from the foot bar as tall as you can as you straighten. Keep thinking of the head reaching up as you resist the carriage spring back in. We've got 2 more practices in our V. Good work. From here, we're going to bring the heels out wide. So still maintaining that sense of connection through the adductors. Imagine the heels are drawing in towards your midline, still spiraling through the head of the femur. Using our exhale breath, we're pressing out to straight. Using our inhale, slide and resist back in again. A little easier to move around the hip joint. A little bit more stability required through the pelvis and the spine. As you're pressing away, feel the connection through the adductors. As you're returning the carriage, really give some thought to sitting back through the hips so the tailbone is heavy as we resist back in again. Squeezing out to full extension of the knee, activating the quads and resisting the return. Last one. And we're returning the carriage back in. Great work. From here, we're going to go straight into our raises and prances. So toes are on parallel in hip width. We're going to press the carriage all the way out to strong straight legs. And we're staying active as we lower the heels down and rise back up. So full range of movement in an active phase through the ankle joint. Can we think strong straight legs? Like we printed our start position standing. Heels are lowering down and then rising all the way up through to the ball of the foot. Feel the connection of the arm into the hand, into the shoulder. And keep thinking long through the neck and head. We're lowering down through the heel and rising up high onto the toes. We've got 2 more. We're going straight into our prances with the dynamic going up. So the heel lowers with control and we go up and up. So I never want you to think that the heel is pushing down into a stretch. We are lowering down to lengthen through the Achilles and soleus and gastrocnemius, but we're thinking active and up and up and up. We really need to think about the stability from the leg at the hip right now. Are we able to maintain tone in those external rotators to make sure the pelvis isn't going side to side? Twice more on each side. And let's draw that carriage all the way back home. So our challenge for single leg work is for us to maintain the same spring tension. So we're working against a heavier resistance now. Let's go single leg heels. Floating the leg up to our tabletop position, gentle dorsiflexion through both ankles, and just take a moment to connect legs into hips. Using our exhale breath, taking that single leg out to full extension and resisting and controlling back in again. And we feel the importance of the arms pressing down into the carriage to help us stabilize through the rib cage and the pelvis. Finding that activation, initiation from the hamstring as we press out, controlling the knee extension and resisting back in. We've got one more on the heels. And we're switching sides. Heel comes down in line with the sitting bone, float the other leg up, pressing from that activated hamstring and resist as you come back in, sitting back into that seat. Now lengthen through the knee, quadricep, whole spine, and resist as you come back in. And keep the carriage moving, keep it active. Pressing out, resisting in. Last two. And return it home. Straight into our toe variation. So toes basic. Both feet are in our gentle plantar flexion now. Connecting and thinking about the stability through the ankle on the supporting side so that heel stays still in space. And we press away and we draw back in. So feeling the connection from all toes, pressing into that foot bar, that stability required through the foot arch and heel as we press out and resist back in again. We've got one more. And resisting in. Good work. From here, switch sides, place the foot in line with the sitting bone, float the other leg up. Take a moment to feel from the toes on the foot bar, active through the arch of the foot, stable through the heel, active through the hamstring, pushing away, exhale, resisting that heavy spring back on the inhale. Exhale to push. Inhale, resisting back. Strength through the arms. Strength through your breath. So exhale, closes the ribs, softens the sternum, activates the abdominals. Inhale, fills the lungs. Two more. And resisting home. Okay, good work. Let's bring ourselves up for our first spring change. So I'm going to challenge myself with one red, one blue. As we come into supine arm series, we're going to take a look at our circle variations as well as triceps before we come into some hundreds prep. So knowing that, choose your spring appropriately and come down into your supine position. So grabbing the hand into the strap and just taking a moment to make a fist around the handle, whether it's a strap or a handle. And we're feeling that connection immediately from the hand through the strong straight arms and into the shoulders. We're going to float the legs up into our tabletop position, squeeze the feet, knees are apart gently, connecting the leg into the hip. Can we start with arm supine one? So just our parallel press, using your exhale breath, pressing both arms down, using the inhale to lift back up again. I like to think an hourglass. So as the arm is up, we've got all of the sand down into the head of the shoulder. And as you exhale and press, all of the sand reaches down towards the fingers and we're pressing down into that load towards the foot bar. Inhale, we're going to pick the arms back up again, drawing the arm into the shoulder socket. Let's go one more. We're pressing down on the exhale. We're lifting back up on the inhale. Let's take our circle. So the arms press down in our parallel. We turn the palms to face in. Think scapular plane as we bring the arms out to the side and circle the arm back up on top. So it's an exhale. We press down into the load. We lengthen through the crown of the head. We use our inhale breath to stretch the arms out to the side and circle back up on top of the head of the shoulder. heaviness through the arm as we press into the load, turn the palms, circle out and around. We've got one more practice and then we're going to reverse it. So pushing both arms down, turn the palm, reach out to the side, keep that carriage still as we draw the arm back. We're going straight into the reverse. The carriage stays still. We feel the feedback through the arm hand into the shoulder as we open. We now push from our wide position down, turn the palm to face down, lift both arms back up. We open out. Using the exhale breath, we're going to push into the load, finding that strength. Inhale, we're going to reach the arms back up and open out to the side. We've got two more. Connect the arm into the shoulder and push on your exhale. Use your inhale breath to find flow through the movement as you lift and circle. Last one, exhale, pressing down, turn the palm and lift both arms up. Great work. Legs coming down onto the foot bar for a quick break. We're going to transition now, pull the elbows down into our triceps. And we practice with the elbows just hovering off the carriage and in towards the waistline. We start in our 90-degree elbow flexion and we're going to float both legs up into our tabletop. So already we're working hard in our start position. Can we feel the elbows reaching down towards the foot bar or down towards your hips, waistline, and feel how that connects immediately into your shoulder. Using your exhale breath, we're extending at the elbow, fully extend the elbow to activate tricep. And then inhale, can we control the return back again? Now, can we check that we're nice and strong and straight through the wrist as we're extending through the elbow and flexing through the elbow? The whole of the upper arm, the humeral bone stays still, and we're feeling that strength and stability from a stable shoulder. Exhale as we press. And resist as you pull back into elbow flexion. We've got two more. Press and inhale back. Breathing out. I'm going to keep those arms straight. Let's lift those arms all the way back up and place the feet down for a moment. Okay, good. So from here, we're going into our hundreds preparation. So getting ready to chest lift. We've warmed up the arms and shoulders. Now the challenge will be to curl forward in our forward flexion under the load. So from here, we're going to come up quickly. We nod the chin, soften the chest, and we get up. We use the resistance to see if we can press forward and curl up more into that thoracic flexion. Inhale, we lower back down. Exhale, press and curl. Strengthen the arms, driving them forward. And inhale, resisting back. Exhale, nod the chin, soften the chest. Inhale, control back down. We've got two more. Quickly curling up. Resist as we return down. And quick, pressing up. Resist as we come back down. Well done. Okay, so from here, our springs are set and ready. And we're going to bring the long loops forward, getting ready for our strap work. We're going to come into frogs and circles today. So pressing that carriage out, stepping the feet into the straps, finding our frog start position, and taking a moment to print. Can we feel the connection equally through the inner thighs and the outer thighs? Can we feel the connection initiating from the hamstring? Using our exhale breath, pressing both legs out. Using our inhale, drawing active through the hip as we pull back in. Exhale, press. The thigh moves away. The thigh bone pulls back in towards your torso. So even though we're focusing on the movement of the feet, and we bring that all the way back to the joint that's moving. Drawing back in, resist it back. Using the exhale, press away. Feel the stability that the exhale breath provides as we draw the legs away from us. Exhale, stabilizes that lever load, and inhale, draw in, mobilize the hip joint. We've got two more, and we're going to finish that last one with straight legs And we're going to transition into our leg circles. So from here, let's draw our legs up to the highest point of hip flexion that we can maintain neutral. Take a moment to feel that spiral external rotation. We're going to use our exhale breath. We're going to press both legs down towards the springs. And using the inhale breath, draw those legs back up and around. Squeeze and connect those heels actively. Push through the hamstrings and circle around, mobilizing the hip joint. Exhale, feel the closing of the ribs, softening of the sternum. Inhale, circle the legs, mobilize the hip around. Last one, we press down on the exhale. Circle the legs back around and up. Let's reverse the circle. Take a moment to drop the legs into the hip sockets, open, and press from those hamstrings as we draw the legs down and together. Inhale, keep thinking tailbone into the carriage as the legs come back up again. Open and press down. Inhale, hinging at the hip, drawing the legs back up. Maintaining that external rotation spiral through the leg, throughout the circle. 2 more. Tailbone heavy as you draw the legs back up into your hip flexion. And last one, we're going to finish down at 45 degrees. We're going to bend the knees in. We're going to come into our short spine preparation, continuing into our full short spine today. So pressing both legs out towards the foot bar. We're bringing ourselves into full hip flexion, and then we're going to continue the carriage sliding in. So can we feel the tailbone start to peel off? Can we feel the imprint of the lower spine? And we bring ourselves in as far as we can into that deepen stretch through the back line. From here, the thighs stay still, active through the hip extensors as we draw the legs back. Feel that hamstring work. We press out. We draw up. We feel the stretch and the lengthening through the hamstring, through the lower back. Keeping the thighs still in space, we work the hamstring to draw back to our frog, tailbone heavy, pressing away. Carriage slides in, legs come up and over. Tailbone will peel off, hopefully a little further with each one as we deepen into the stretch. From here, thighs stay still, work to pull back. We've got one more, pressing away. Legs come up and over, flex at the hip, keep sliding that carriage in. Already here, patterning that press through the arms. And from here, work to pull back. Okay, full version. So we're going to press out. We're working slowly on the first one, legs press to the foot bar. We're going to try and bring that carriage right back into home. The legs come up, the tailbone starts to peel off. We try and bring that carriage back to the stopper. Pressing actively through the arms, we're going to imprint and roll the pelvis up. From here, we're going to lower the legs down actively back into our hip flexion position. Holding it here, softening the chest, rolling the spine back down, and feel how it's the rolling down of the spine that moves the carriage and brings us back to our start. We're pressing the legs out to the foot bar, flexing at the hip as we come over. Bring that carriage in, let the tailbone adapt to get you back into the stopper. Press through the arms as you roll the sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Keep those sitting bones high as you squeeze actively back into your frog position. From here, soften the sternum, rolling the spine down, pressing the feet into those straps to feel the release through the back extensors, pushing out to the foot bar, rolling it in. Feel the strength of the arms as you roll the pelvis and the spine up. We're going to bend those knees, keeping active. Now from here, drop the chest away from the thighs, roll and articulate to come down. Let's practice one more. Pushing out, rolling over. Strength through the arms, torso to lift up. Strength through those hip extensors. Bend, soften the chest and articulate the spine down. Okay, good work. From here, let's come out of those feet in straps, return the feet to the foot bar safely, and place those straps down away for now. So let's come into our hip flexion 1 and 2. We're going to take a look at scooter and at elephant. So keeping the spring tension the same. So scooter will be challenged by that load of the spring. Let's set up our start position, coming to standing. Toes are tucked in front of your shoulder rests, and we're going to bring the hands forward to the foot bar. So we've already connected through the arm shoulder with our hands in straps. So can we feel that same connection from the palm of the hand through that strong straight arm into the shoulder girdle? Long C curve through the spine in our imprint. We're going to maintain that stability through the arm and the spine as we mobilize and find that hip disassociation under load. So we're pushing back, press against the load, and an active squeeze and return back in again. Pressing back and pull in. Let's use an inhale to push and an exhale to squeeze and return, an active carriage to pull in. As we're pressing the heel back, we're feeling the demand on the hip extensors of the working leg. We're feeling the stability and strength required through the arms, torso, and supporting leg to work against this spring load. 2 more. Good. And let's go same on the other side. Tucking the toe under, mobilizing that big toe joint, trying to get that heel as close towards that shoulder rest as we can. Connect through the arms, press the hips back, imprint, and find that active abdominal connection before we start. We're pushing back into the load, breathing in, exhale, resist, and pull the carriage back in with control. Pressing back as far through the leg as we can maintain that stability through the pelvis and the lower spine. Feeling the strength required through the hip extensors, hamstring, glute, to press back against that load. Last 2 and last 1. Okay, good. Let's come up to standing hip flexion 2 into our elephant. So coming to our stand, strong straight legs, connecting the hand onto the foot bar. Please note that my feet are a little further forward from the shoulder rests because my hamstrings are a little tight and I'm unable to get the pelvis right back over the heels with them stretched all the way back. So I've just modified that for my body. So connecting from the hand arm and really feeling how those lower ribs are pulling up, connecting us into our imprinted spine right now. From here, the foot is planted, the arch is lifted. We're going to use our inhale breath to press the carriage, opening up the hip joint. The exhale scoops and pulls the legs back underneath the hips. We press back and we pull in. So our challenge is to maintain the shape through the arms and the spine as we're moving and disassociating through the hip joint bilaterally. Breathing in, we press. Breathing out, we scoop to pull in. Let's practice 2 more. And last 1. Okay, good. Let's lunge down. Let's come into our lunge stretch. So we're reducing that spring down again. So we're onto our 1 red. Let's come to our side for basic lunge. The knee is on the carriage, the toe is tucked in front of the shoulder rest. And we're taking a moment just to come up through the pelvis and the spine, checking that our hips are square right now. We're trying to drop those sitting bones down, lift the pubic bone up. And for some of us, we'll already feel that stretch in the hip flexor of the back leg. From here, we're going to press the carriage, press the thighs away from one another into our lunge, straightening the front leg into our hamstring stretch. We're going to draw the carriage actively back in. Think about that lift up through your spine and pelvis, and then pressing away again. Front knee stays still, back knee presses away. Hip extension into a bit of lumbar extension if that's available to you. Straightening that front leg out, lengthening the hamstring of the front leg, and we're going to slide and draw the carriage back in, actively lifting up tall through the crown of the head. Let's go lunge on the other side. So from here, tucking those toes under, the knee rests down, the foot jumps forward. Think a little bit about lengthening up through the crown of your head. We're going to try and keep the pelvis as square as possible initially. From here, front knee stays still, back leg presses away. Front leg extends out, stretching the hamstring on that front side. Draw the carriage actively back in again, lifting the pubic bone up to the sternum, lifting the head up to the ceiling. Front knee stays still, back knee presses away. Push the heel back into that shoulder rest. Straightening that front leg out. Sliding the carriage actively in and rest. Okay, good. From here, we're going to come into our seated arms. I'm going to pop that foot bar down. I've still got my one red spring on, and just grabbing your hand straps or your ropes, ready for our lat pulls. I'm going to have my legs out in front. If you wish to grab your box at this point, please do, your long box. I'm going to have just a handspan distance between the edge and where the pelvis is situated. I'm going to bring the arms to the outside of the carriage. We've got an active start position, so already have tension on the springs, and just take a moment to feel that seated print. So can we lift up nice and tall through the pelvis? Can we feel that we're sitting tall on those sitting bones, those ischial tuberosities? And are we lifted nice and tall through the spine and crown of the head? And equally, feeling how the fingertips are reaching down towards the floor. So we've got that strong, straight elbow, and already you should feel the triceps active. We're going to use an exhale breath to press both arms back into the load as far as you can maintain that torso control, and inhale, drawing back. Exhale, pressing both arms back. Inhale, control and resist. So staying active as we press in and we increase the challenge, as we push the arms further back into shoulder extension, and then drawing back out with control. Staying active in that load and challenging your seated posture. 2 more. And last one. Good. From here, let's go into our bicep curl. So we're going to pull the elbows up in line with the shoulder joint, or as high as we can maintain our seated position and our stable shoulder. So from here, can we sit forward towards the pubic bone? Can we reach both elbows forward towards our shoulder rests? We're going to use our inhale breath to extend the elbow joint. We're going to use our exhale breath to flex at the elbow joint. So we're mobilizing through that elbow joint. We're stabilizing through the spine and shoulder. As we're pulling against the load, we're trying to avoid leaning back. So as the elbow is bending, can you reach both elbows forward and imagine that the spine is reaching or stacking right forward over your pubic bone, sitting forward through those hips. We've got 2 more. And last one. Okay, good. Let's come into our rhomboid openings. So connecting the arm strap now down onto the forearm near the elbow. We're still bent at our 90-degree elbow flexion. And we're still sitting up nice and tall. Both elbows are stretching out to the side, feeling the expansion through the chest. And we're going to draw the arms back in line with the shoulder. So from here, the elbows are abducting. We're reaching those elbows out to the side. We're trying to find that connection through the rhomboids, drawing the shoulder blades towards one another without letting the ribs pop at the front. So let's use an exhale breath. So the breath is stabilizing the trunk as we mobilize and strengthen through the upper back and shoulder. Inhale to draw it back. Exhalation, feel the closing of the ribs, dropping of the sternum, working through the rhomboids against that load. Inhale to come back. We've got 2 more. Exhale, reach those elbows out. Inhale to control back. And exhale, squeeze and open. Sit up tall, work into the load. Inhale to control the return of the carriage. Okay, good. Let's turn around and let's move into our hug a tree and our salute. I'm going to keep my legs out straight. Feel free to cross them if you wish. From here, make sure that we're sitting right back with those sitting bones so that we can stack nice and tall from the pelvis up to the crown of the head. Both arms are going to stretch forward at shoulder height with the palms facing in towards one another and taking a moment to feel the difference that the load has now on the spine. Reaching both arms forward, feeling the breadth across your scapulars. We're going to breathe in to open. We're abducting the arms. I'm going to breathe out to draw back in and close. So can we think about being broad across your collarbones and shoulder blades? The arms are opening up and closing, maintaining the stability around this area. So we're mobilizing from the shoulder joint. And we're exhaling to press against the load. Good. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we draw back in. Feeling like the elbows are slightly soft and reaching up towards the ceiling. And we're drawing back in. Last one. Good. From here, let's come into our salute. Palm of the hand or the fingertips come towards the forehead. The elbows are just situated a little forward of your shoulder joint. And we're feeling that external rotation spiral from the head of the humerus into the shoulder socket, into the shoulder blades, into the torso trunk. Exhale, we're pressing into the load. And inhale, we're drawing back in. Exhale, it's a forward press. Inhale, we're controlling the return. Elbows go wide, fingertips come back to the forehead. Exhale to press. Inhale, think about growing taller through your seated spine. Exhale, pressing forward. Inhale, resisting back. We've got 1 more. Excellent. And relaxing down. Okay, from here, popping the straps back as you need. And we're going to come into our long box. Basic back extension first. And then into our pulling strap second. So popping your long box on safely as required. Bringing the foot bar up and keeping that 1 red spring on. So bringing the hands to the front of the box and lying yourself onto your prone position. Chest is forward over the edge. Bringing the connection of the hand onto the foot bar and feeling how the elbows are dropping down slightly towards the floor so that we can get that external rotation spiral and think upper thoracic joints in extension. Can we reach long through the legs, out through the line of your big toes? Can we think neutral zone with your pelvis? So pubic bone, ASISs, equal pressure. Breathing actively, feeling that connection of the exhalation and the abdominals. Using your inhale breath, we're going to start to press up, initiating through the thoracic extensors as we press the carriage out into extension. Using your exhale breath, we're lengthening forward through the torso as we lower back down, stopping in our thoracic. Breathing in, sternum swings forward and up. Exhale, lengthen the spine forward, reach the sternum forward as you lower the torso back down onto the box. Breathing in, feel the connection from the palm of the hand into the arms, into the collarbones, into that extension pattern. Elbows start to bend, we lengthen the torso and we come all the way back down to our thoracic extension. We've got one more. Breathing in, sternum lifts. Hands connect. Up we come. Elbows bend, lengthening the spine, pulling the sternum forward as we return back to our start. Okay, good. From here, we're going to step off. We've got the challenge today of keeping the foot bar up for our pulling straps. If that's not appropriate, please put yours down. We're going to come on lying prone, facing the other way. And you'll notice that that foot bar is right in the way. So if you don't have that hip extension available to you, please drop it down appropriately. We're going to grab our hand straps. We're going to wrap our hands around our straps rather, and feel that connection from the fist into the arm. We're going to think active flexion as we nod the chin, soften the torso, and come all the way down. Reaching long through those legs, reaching long through those arms. We're now breathing in. The head initiates, the sternum swings forward, both arms pull up, right up past the hip joint. Using our exhale breath, let's actively control the lowering down. Breathing in, head initiates, sternum swings forward, both arms drive back. Exhale, pull back to your active start. Breathing in, head, sternum, collarbones broad. Draw back down, softens the sternum, head lowers, arms reach to the floor. Breathing in. Breathing out. Lower back down. We've got one more practice. Inhale. And exhale, coming all the way back down. Okay, good. From here, let's pop the straps back onto their resting point, stepping off the box carefully. And let's place that box back off and away. Let's come into our lateral flexion category for our cool down today. So sitting into our little Z sit, we've got our hand coming onto the foot bar. We're going to take our side reach just to prep for two and then into our mermaid patterning. So connect the palm of the hand into the arm shoulder, and we're going to breathe in to tilt. We're going to breathe out to think active lateral flexion. We're going to keep that reformer carriage still and get the spine to bend. Good. We're going to come back to our tilt position. We're going to return the carriage home. Good. From here, we're going to press out. Using our exhale breath, move the ear towards the shoulder. Feel the movement happen through that thoracic cage. Feel the stretch into the intercostals. We're going to draw back to our tilt and return home. Let's take a look at our mermaid. So we're going to press out into our tilt first. From here, we're encouraging thoracic rotation. So the arm is swinging around towards the foot bar, twisting the ribs around the axis of the spine. From here, we're going to move back into our side reach. And from here, we're controlling the carriage all the way back home. Good, let's come back out again. So we're going to tilt, twist, mobilizing the rib cage in rotation. Back into our side reach. Think lateral flexion. And draw all the way back home. Good. From here, we're going to grab that front shoulder rest. We're going to take the arm up. We're going to lengthen the spine. And we're going to laterally flex over towards the headrest. We're going to restack the spine. And we're going to rest and do the same on the other side. From here, sitting into our Z sit, palm of the hand comes on. Printing from the palm into the arm shoulder, we're going to reach out into our tilt, staying long through both sides of our waist. Keep the reformer carriage still, active lateral flexion through the spine. Drawing back to our tilt, reaching the head away from the pelvis, return the carriage in. One more time, let's breathe into tilt. Breathe out, lateral flexion. Breathe into tilt. Return the carriage home into our mermaid for two. So pushing back out into our tilt. The arm gesture encourages that rib cage rotation. So bringing this side of the rib cage forward, bringing the opposite side back, twisting around the spine. Moving back into our lateral flexion, all the way back to home. One more time, pressing out to our tilt. Mobilizing in rotation through the thoracic as we twist. Back into our side reach. All the way back home. Grabbing that foot bar, reaching the arm up beside the ear, laterally flex from the head over towards your headrest. Feeling the stretch in the intercostals, drawing the arm back and return. Excellent. Let's bring ourselves up to our standing for a roll down to finish. So just taking a moment to feel the difference between the first stand and the last stand. Feel the activation through the muscles. Feel the strength and length through that axial spine. Breathing in. Exhale, nod the chin, soften the chest and roll down. Noticing the extra mobility as you come down towards the floor. Use your inhale breath at the bottom and your exhale breath to ground the feet. Return the pelvis. Return the spine, ribs, shoulders, neck and head. One more practice. Inhale. Feel that length. Feel that strength. Nod the chin. Soften the sternum. Roll the spine down. Feel the mobility. Use your exhale breath. Find the strength and the stability as you return back up for the last time. Excellent. And that's all we have time for. Thank you for joining me.